A weekday evening at a busy market in India's capital. And while the focus here is on finding good deals on shirts and shoes, not on casting a ballot, it still gives you a sense of just how many people live here and what it takes to pull off the complicated logistics of the world's biggest election. It's certainly that. There are nearly 1 billion eligible voters here in India, 968 million to be precise, and getting them to the polls is a mammoth task.
Indian election is not only the biggest election in the world, it is the biggest management event of any kind in the world. The logistics are mind-boggling.
He would know. That's S.Y. Qureshi, a former head of India's Election Commission. And he wants to focus on that number, almost 1 billion voters. That's more than the populations of the US, the European Union, and Russia combined. India's election officials go door to door in the years between votes to update the country's electoral roll.
So reaching out to 1 billion people, it can't get any bigger. The only thing which can get bigger is our own election next time. 5 years later, it will be even bigger. So that's what it is. At least 1 million polling stations.
And 15 million polling agents, many of whom go to extreme lengths to reach every Indian voter, taking boats, choppers, even horses, trekking through mountains deep in the Himalayas and through lion-infested jungles. Sometimes a team travels 70 kilometers to set up a booth for just one person.
Meet the Indian man who gets his very own voting booth.
A priest and a dedicated voter, with a polling station all to himself for years, because India's Election Commission guarantees you can vote within 2 kilometers of your home.
Unfortunately, this guy died last year. So we are one polling station less now. But the idea is to show that how every vote, every single vote matters.
Security also matters, and that's why India's election happens in phases. 7 days of voting spread out over more than 6 weeks in 543 ridings crisscrossing the entire country. That's so tens of thousands of federal paramilitary troops who are freed up to keep the election safe can travel across a country so big in order to make sure no violence breaks out. As for the politics of it all,
there's deep support in many quarters for Narendra Modi, Prime Minister for the last decade, gunning for a third straight term. His power well entrenched and his popularity unparalleled.
I trust Modi, I vote Modi. We need Modi because to change our India, like to develop our India, Modi is needed.
Why do you compare him to a god?
Same qualities he is having. He is selfless. He works only for the people.
But there's also concern about an increasingly less democratic India, and that this election is one-sided, especially when it comes to money. Political donations, mostly from large corporations, were unlimited and anonymous ever since Modi's party, the BJP, set up a new system in 2017. But India's Supreme Court recently struck down that arrangement, calling it unconstitutional. Turns out Modi's party received billions of dollars of untraceable money from the scheme, says longtime political scientist Rajiv Bhargava.
There is no level playing field at the moment, and the BJP is actually getting about 10 times more than the next, political party. But there is another worry that has crept in, which is the undermining of institutions.
The media, the judiciary, it's a slide towards a more autocratic India, he says, in a country fiercely proud of its title as the world's largest democracy, where voter turnout is usually very high. A massive democratic process that has no parallel, with weeks of voting, but all of those millions of votes counted and released all in one day, June 4th.